Well, hello everyone. And it's been a while talking about this, and now the time has come. I've actually been and wanting this to be online for a while until I found out that this actually was put on the extras tab on my online Paramount profile. So with that in mind, let's talk about the animated Mutant Mayhem short Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Chrome Alone 2, Lost in New Jersey. There is no Chrome Alone 1. It's a joke title, which reminds me very much of Puzzle Fighter 2 not having a Puzzle Fighter 1. It's directed by Kent Seki and written by Andrew Justra, with the film taking place after the events of the 2023 hit Mutant Mayhem, as well as before a coming sequel, which actually has been moved up a bit on the release schedule. I'm really looking forward to it. Right? And with that in mind, let's begin. Even factoring in the setting and the time of year is, again, I point this out when I did seasons 2 and 3 of Smiling Friends that I normally don't talk about Christmas episodes out of season or movies out of season, but there are times to make exceptions, and this is one of those times. I mean, before it was attached to the most recent SpongeBob movie, and also it debuted at NSC last June. So if such a respected animation festival can talk about this cartoon and show it out of season, I can certainly watch and address it then. I've actually watched it a few times, and the first was late one night when I found out, trying to get back to sleep, and it definitely was a pleasant surprise to see not only the cast return ahead of their next feature-length adventure, as well as both seasons of the Tales of the TMT spin-off. I am working on watching season 2, so don't worry there. So, to set the scene, the Turtles are trying to get hit things for Christmas for their master and surrogate father Splinter, with Michelangelo having made a very charming, if off model, do it yourself coffee mug. I mean, and and Donnie trying to figure out how to get ideas with a chatbot with mixed results. I mean, and I should know a thing or two given how I can imagine a lot of the issues I've been having with Procopia, trying to get that here, and now a potential exchange this week, like, or because of these bots. However, they end up swinging by a window display, a local toy store, or with a company using their image from authentic imitations of Newark in New Jersey, known as the Tubular Tortoise Karate Warriors, which looks like something I saw on Bootleg Zone a while back. Something of an overload of nostalgic mediocrity there, dudes. And their names are similar to their aliases is when they're keeping their shells low to the ground, but the designs are incredibly off model. They look kind of like like old wrestling figurines, different paint jobs, and having burgers as their snack. At least they got the weapons and the colors of their individual masks right, if I may, hey, select them with faint praise. Naturally, being less than pleased, they decide to head to the source in New Jersey and put an end to it. Where it's mean, where it is actually possible to go from New York, New Jersey by subway, though when you don't know Ninjutsu, it does take a lot more time and transfers. I'll tell you that much for free. So, reaching the factory in Newark, the whole place is automated and vertically integrated. And, and if only the merchandise they were producing was more up to snuff, man. If it, it makes me wonder what will happen with Playmates, its license, and it's finally being relinquished to Mattel all those years. I wish both companies well. Well, I definitely intend to get some of the sell through of the former and eager to see what the latter will produce, but that's not important right now. What is important is this special's take on the Chrome Dome, voiced by character actor Zach Woods, and apparently his backstory is mashed up by a bunch of different log lines, like how naturally a bunch of teenagers where their TV is like a window what's going on the surface and the methods of entertainment. They of course recognize all the references. Some of them fittingly are similar to who their their owners at Paramount, where we have a quasi Picard doing the Vulcan salutes with extra fingers. We a have Squidward appearing to wear the Infinity Gauntlet and Thanos' armor, and a spacecraft would appear to mash together. They're, they're like one of the Trek shuttlecrafts with one of the TIE fighter wings and at least half of an X-Wing's wings as well. Naturally, he calls him out on that, and eventually comes clean. He just wanted to who make something casually typing their names into a chatbot, and those are the pictures that came out. Out. Of course, they're not pleased that their image has been knocked off for these shoddy goods and attempt to take them on a fight. On top of having like a sword the size of a girder and a giant flail, though Chronotum has the gall to call their weapons impractical in response, he ends up adapting to their fighting techniques fairly quickly. However, a brick joke at which Donnie observes that the bots only as good as a prompt should give them, main reason why I have yet to go beyond novelty in my experimentations. And so they decide to do deliberately a terrible moves to damage this overgrown own android, and which culminates in a similar fashion to the second live action film, which celebrates the 30th anniversary this month. How about that? They actually pop into their hills for defense, and when Cromwell tries to do the same thing, and he ends up collapsing in on himself like a dying star. After that, Donnie removes ChatGPT from his device. All things said, I still like this variant of Chrome done better than Altman. So, they return home to their lair, excited to make more do-it-yourself mugs themselves, and seeing that Splinter actually he got the infamous AI generated figurines, which they decide that they will act surprised, then and and definitely decide to light them ablaze. He's once all said and done, and ultimately deciding to never speak of this again. I also found it amusing they're using like the infamous song from the even more infamous DTV movie as the outro. I always expected to hear Phelan's I Hate Splinter sentence mix on my end as well, so there's that. Even as someone who does try to make sure their total stuff is legit, this is the same layout I had when near the beginning of the 2012 show. They are working on more. Whether or not they actually succeed in welcoming Warners into their fold, I am not certain. And I found this to be a highly amusing animated short, and it's also not the only belated look at an animated horror guide for me to talk about, especially since it won on this streaming service. But it is a highly amusing short, which also is a nice little tantalizing taste of pizza pie ahead of the upcoming sequel, which will be out next summer. I mean, not this coming summer, but the one after that. So that'll be all for now. I definitely intend to make the most of this equal next week, so I'll see you again later, dudes. Mm.